Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Daya Waghani, and today we have a presentation on the paper African Literature. And from that, I have to selected the topic Wole Soyinka's Dystopian and Utopian Vision in play A Dance of the Forests. So let's begin the presentation. First of all, we will see about the author Wole Soyinka. So he is a Nigerian playwright born in 1934. He is also poet, essayist, and in English language. And he was also awarded the 1980-64 Nobel Prize in Literature. If we look at the genre of his particular literature, then he is writing about the drama, novel, and poetry. And his subject of this content is about the contemporary comparative literatures. He took an active role in Nigeria's political history and campaigning for independence from British colonial rule. Much of his writing has been considered with the oppressive boot and the irrelevance of the color of the foot wears it. Let's take a small introduction of the play, A Dance of the Forest. So it is a most recognized play of Soyinka, and it was performed on the celebration of independence of Nigeria in 1960. It got published in 1963, and iconoclastic work that irritated many of the elite in Soyinka's native Nigerian, and this play demands freedom from European imperialism. This play portrays the post-colonial Nigerian politics, and it is aimless and corrupted through the imperialism. As Derek Wright pointed out in one of his work, that the difficulty and elusiveness of the play when he states that it is the most uncentered of works. There is no discernible main characters or plot line, and critics have been at a loss to say what kind of play is it, or if it is a play at all and not a peasant carnival or festival. So we can say that this play is considered as the most difficult or complex play of Wole Soyinka. We are not easily understanding this play through the one reading of this play. Now let's look at the dystopian and utopian vision in this play, A Dance of the Forest. So we all know about the difference between dystopia and utopia. Utopia is a society or community that setting wherein the people experience the ideal and the perfect life possible. In contrast, if we look at the dystopia, so it is totally different from the utopia, which is place of extremely unpleasant and living and working condition for the most people. In this play, Soyinka using four-away images, imagine places feature for the utopic and dystopic imaginations. And the geographical setting of this play is distance past in the hints at its vision of utopianism and dystopianism. Paul Sartre and John Wright examine in his work that while a utopian past and dystopian past present is often enacted as a narrative gesture that committently leads to a futurity that is utopian, and the reverse is the case in the play. In this play, what Wole Soyinka is doing, so Wole Soyinka is depict dystopian past as well as dystopian present and future. In this way, Soyinka rejects negritude's imagination and glorification and idealization of the African past crowd or people. Soyinka's dance of forest is the hopeless past with the fruitless present to project a bleak future. Ezumurana or examine this to the dance of the forest, that it is about the fruitless present to project a bleak future. Soyinka's representation of African past in this play, Dance of the Forest. So, as Wegman examined that based on this negative reconstructive of the African past, which is antithetic to the glorification in the works of negritude writers, Soyinka insists to borrow the words of that there is no lost way of life and lost course of pursuits. So this is because in his work that a quest for a utopian future, the past must be reconstructed through the living seek to recapture the past into the future. But as Enyoku observed in his work, that Soyinka in this play dramatized man's proclivity and also selectivity to edit his past, to construct his future and present, and his blind eyes to the warts and wells of his ignoble past, and choose to highlight the helicon day of instead. So we can say that according to Soyinka, there is nothing glorious about Africa's past or nothing euphoric about the present of Africa. For instance, for example, in this play, atrocities committed by the actor in the court of Mata Kharibu 8 centuries earlier are repeated by their reincarnated self under different circumstances in the present world. And in another scene, Adenabi in his prior existence 800 years ago, that is about past, was the court historian to Mata Kharibu, and he argues that war is the only consistency that past age affords us, thereby facilitating the death of many soldiers in a senseless war that he encouraged. And at present, he is corrupt council orator responsible for the death of 65 passengers on a lorry. He had license to carry passenger beyond its stipulated capacity. And in another character, Rola Madam, that is Madam Tortoise, Madam Tortoise is the past character who in her previous world was a war, and Mata Kharibu's wife is responsible for the death of dead men and dead women. So in her present world, Rola is still a prostitute, and she is still responsible for the demise of her two lovers, and she is also responsible for the demo that Carver who killed the apprenticeship of the enemy. Then past and present as the failure of the future. As Wigman sees the apocalyptic or dystopic as a work which writers the present as the failure of the future. So this is what obtained in if we conclude the Wigman's view in this play, A Dance of the Forest, in which Soyinka stretches Wigman's explanation or observation, writing the past in the present as the failure of the future. So this is the evidence, as already noted earlier, that from the past and present violence actions of Soyinka's major character. This is a play, therefore, which is the past and the present conflict in a metonymic reenactment of violence and bloodshed. And Soyinka traces the history of a hopeless past and compares it with a defective present to the forecast a bleak future. At the beginning of this play, in the prologue, Eroni, who is the lieutenant of the forest father, states that this statement about the play, that even this might have passed unnoticed by Oro if Dimok had left Araba's height administered. But Dimok is a victim of greediness and cannot gain Araba's height. He could shorten the tree, but apprentice to him is on Oremoko, a follower of Oro who fought against this scarlies to the god. And Oremok won support with this mockery of the carver who has tied to earth. The apprentice began to work above his master's head. Dimok reached a hand and plucked him down. This is at the prologue of this play. So it is also significant that dead men and dead women have come not to celebrate with living, but to judge them, to judge each others. And their repeated imploration that is coming in the play repeatedly, that will you take my case? So which is also the opening statement of the play, is an indication that they have come to right the wrong against them in their previous existence, that is 8 centuries ago. And as Miller rightly observes that dystopia is motivated out of a utopian pessimism, in that they force us to confront the dystopian element so that we can work through them and begin again. So in this sense, dead woman's an observation that nothing has changed after 8 centuries. After 8 centuries, the situation, whole situation is as it is, and it is itself a call for a new beginning that would guarantee a promising future. So the past is gone, the present is here, but the future is yet not come. By painting a dystopian past and present and forecasting a gloomy future, Soyinka warns that the mistake of the past and the present should be avoided for a better future. Despite the dystopian images that populate Soyinka's play, he still hints at the regeneration of the human world. For example, the plot, which is in itself dystopian, still has a utopian element implicated in it. The plot of this play is one in which there is a gathering of the tribes in a festivity in which the living ask their gods to invite some of their illustrious ancestors. So these illustrious ancestors are supposed to be reminders of a magnificent past. But instead of legendary ancestor, forest father, that is the head, the supreme divinity of the play, send the living to spirit of the restless dead, and that is dead man and dead woman. It is this action of forest father that sets in motion the conflict of the play between the dead and the living, and between humans and the god. But as Miller observed, that beyond this conflict is a new world envisaged by Soyinka, a world in which, to borrow the word of Miller, all that is presently separated are united. What conclusion we can give to this presentation is that it may be claimed that Soyinka's aesthetic rumination within the utopian literary genre is that the past should not be constructed in such a way that is glorified and romanticized as a projection of a happy future or projection of a glorious future. The past and present, according to Soyinka, must be criticized in order to the future to be hopeful. As may already be deducted, he criticized that past and present and foresees a dystopian future in order to direct action that will prevent it from becoming a reality. As a result, Soyinka's apocalyptic terrain is inextricably linked to the utopian vision, longing for a better future. These are my references. Thank you.
Open the concluding page slide. Yes. Questions first.
Yeah. Okay, so my question is that what is the significance of the character playing double roles in the dance of forests?
Yes. Yes, Soyinka has represented a double role of the characters in this that past and present. So it signified signified the continuity of human nature between the past and present. How human can connect, how we are not able to forget our past. At the same, Soyinka is trying to connect the continuity of human nature in the past and present, and she also tried to reflect the history of that past.
What are the main issues explored in the play A Dance of the Punch? Can you explain?
In this play, Soyinka tried to explore the relationship between the our belief and relationship between our belief and the living spirit, and how we can differ both from each other, as dead men and dead women as presented in that, and also human being as also presented. Thank you.